Welcome to 10-Minute AI. I'm Dr. Jonathan Luckett. Together, we'll unpack big ideas in AI, one quick bite at a time.
Okay, so there's a new face in Hollywood, but here's the twist. This one isn't even human. It's a piece of code, and believe me, it's kicking up a storm. We're talking a full-blown existential panic. Wow, identity thieves. I mean, that's not just some light criticism, right? That is a full-on declaration of war from the acting community. And it's all aimed at Hollywood's newest and, yeah, most controversial star. So what is everyone in such a tizzy? You might think it's a big budget movie bombing at the box office or some juicy studio scandal. Nope. The source of all this fear, it's just a piece of code. And here she is. Meet Tilly Norwood. She's an entirely AI-generated actress, a hyper-realistic digital creation that has basically lit a match under one of the biggest debates we've seen about the future of, well, all of entertainment. Okay, so that brings up a huge question. How in the world do you even build a so-called perfect actor from scratch? To really get why everyone's so scared, we've got to look under the hood and understand the code. So Tilly is the creation of a producer named Eileen van der Velden in her AI studio. And let's be clear, their goal here wasn't just to play around with new tech. No, they stated it outright. They wanted to create a direct replacement for A-list actors, the next Scarlett Johansson or Natalie Portman. And just look at how they did it. This wasn't just pushing a button on one program. We're talking about a super complex process, like a digital assembly line. They used a whole bunch of different AI tools, even their own special deep fame engine, to tweak every little detail. Her face, her voice, everything was refined over 2,000 different versions. That's a ton of work. And this right here, this is the number that really gets to the heart of it. 50%. That's the potential cost savings for creators are throwing around. The idea that you could slash filmmaking costs in half, that is a number that makes every studio executive in Hollywood sit up and pay very close attention. But, for all that high-tech effort, her big debut was, well, it was a total flop. It was in a short comedy sketch, and critics just tore it apart. They called the dialogue woodenly delivered and said the whole thing landed deep in that creepy, uncanny valley. So there's this huge gap, right, between the promise of saving money and what actually ends up on screen.
But you know what? That bad debut didn't even matter. The reaction from actual human actors and writers, it was instant. And it wasn't just professional disagreement, it was personal. It was furious.
So on one side of this fight, you've got her creators. They're trying to frame Tilly as just the next step in filmmaking tech. A new paintbrush for the next generation of artists. They see her as a tool, just like CGI or animation was. But the actors union, SAG-AFTRA, they're having none of it. They see it completely differently. To them, Tilly isn't a tool. She's a character generated by a computer program that was trained using the work of tons of professional actors, all without their permission and without paying them a dime. And you can see why they're so worried. The fears are huge. We're talking about massive job losses, having your work used to train your replacement without you getting paid, and just the erosion of what it means to act, that human element. It's a real race to the bottom, and it's why big names started threatening boycotts. So now we get to the really messy part. This whole controversy is shining a giant spotlight on a huge gaping hole where our laws and ethical rules are supposed to be. And this is the absolute core of the legal mess. It's this idea of an unconsented assemblage. See, our current laws are mostly about protecting one person's likeness. If someone makes a digital you can sue. But what if the AI isn't you? What if it's a mashup of tiny little pieces from hundreds or even thousands of different actors? Suddenly, those old laws, they just don't apply. It's a massive loophole. And this just throws everything into chaos. All these basic questions we took for granted suddenly have no answers. Like, who owns the final performance? If you're an actor, how do you prove they stole a piece of your work when it's all blended together? And can an AI even have a talent agent? The whole system we've built for actors, it's starting to crumble. And yeah, beyond the legal stuff, there's some pretty deep ethical questions too. Are these AIs just going to bake in old biases, like very specific Eurocentric beauty standards? And what about consent? You have a digital person who can't say no, who can be put in any scene, saying any line forever. That's unsettling.
So what this all comes down to is a massive fork in the road.
We're looking at two totally different futures for Hollywood and really for all of entertainment. On one path, you have the replacement model. That's where AI actors just straight up replace human talent to save money and give studios more control. On the other path, you have the hybrid model. In that world, AI is a tool that helps human actors. Think de-aging effects or making stunts safer. But it never, ever takes the place of the actual human performance. And this is maybe the most crucial thing to understand. Tilly's real power isn't even about whether she's a good actor or not. It's strategic. The simple fact that she exists as a cheaper option gives studios a massive bargaining chip. It completely changes the power dynamic in every single contract negotiation with a human actor from this point forward. So, in the end, it leaves us with this massive question about the future of cinema, and really about what we value in stories. Do we want the messy, unpredictable, incredible spark of human experience, or do we want the perfect, predictable, controllable output of code? The answer to that, well, it's going to shape everything we watch for the next 100 years.
That's today's 10-Minute AI. I'm Dr. Jonathan Luckett. See you next time for another fast take on the future.